On our third anniversary, I had planned to propose to Carolina. Before I could kneel down as her rightful boyfriend, her first love, Mike, beat me to it. He knelt in front of her and spoke words of proposal instead. Carolina looked shyly at Mike as he knelt before her, her eyes filled with joy. The crowd around us cheered and jeered, as if I were nothing more than a third wheel in my own carefully prepared moment. I sneered and clapped, then casually threw the bouquet onto the ground. "Since it's like this," I said, "I can only wish you both everlasting love and a life together until old age." Carolina's smile froze. She hurried to explain. "Mike has a scene recently where he has to propose. I was just helping him practice." I curled my lips and scoffed. "So you used the venue I painstakingly prepared, right?" Before she could answer, I took the ring out of my bag and tossed it in front of Mike. "Did you prepare a ring? If not, why don't you use mine?" Everything that day had been meticulously planned by me. I had invited so many people, wanting them to witness my happiest moment with Carolina. Instead, it became a joke for everyone else. Carolina froze when she saw the ring box I had thrown. Mike looked at me with an innocent expression. "Ale, I didn't know you were planning to." I cut him off irritably. "Are you blind? Couldn't you see it? Everyone here knew. Everyone except you." Unexpectedly, my words seemed to trigger something in Carolina. "Alex, can't you speak nicely? Do you have to be so sarcastic?" The room instantly went silent. Everyone's eyes shifted back and forth between us. I suppose they didn't understand why Carolina was so protective of Mike. It wasn't just them. I didn't understand either. Ever since Mike returned to the country, my relationship with Carolina had changed. All her attention shifted to him. Every time we argued about it, she would say it was because she was his assistant. I used to comfort myself with that excuse. Now I knew it was just that, an excuse. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Carolina grabbed Mike and dragged him toward the door. From beginning to end, she never once thought about picking up the ring box. As she passed me, she stopped and shot me a fierce glare. "You should think carefully. Did you go too far today?" Listening to their footsteps fade away, I laughed. I laughed at my misplaced sincerity. I laughed at how I had loved such a woman all these years. The crowd thought I had gone mad and rushed to comfort me. Amid their consoling voices, my eyes grew colder, and a certain thought in my heart became firmer. Carolina came from a good family. She was beautiful, the kind of girl everyone admired in school. Naturally, I liked her too. At first, it was just a one-sided crush. Everyone knew Carolina had a boyfriend, though no one had ever really seen him. What was clear, however, was that she liked him very much. So when Carolina kissed me, it felt like a dream. And I was willing to lose myself in that dream. She told me she had broken up with him and asked if I would be with her. I understood how unforgettable a first love could be, but I was still willing to try. In the 3 years we were together, I was always the more proactive one. I never dared to hope she loved me deeply. As long as she was trying to like me, that was enough. During those 3 years, we acted like a normal couple, and I truly believed she liked me. Until Mike returned. Everything changed. I had always thought Carolina was passive in our relationship. But with Mike, she was the one taking the initiative. He received all the treatment I never got. To say I wasn't jealous would be a lie. But Carolina was still my girlfriend, so I stubbornly convinced myself she still liked me. The first time she stayed overnight at Mike's place, I comforted myself by saying she was just helping him. But as the visits became more frequent and their relationship grew closer, I could no longer deceive myself. Whenever I brought it up, Carolina would get furious. We would argue. And the next day, I would always be the one begging for forgiveness, because I loved her more. Perhaps she knew I would always come back and apologize. After all, those who are favored are fearless. Until that proposal scene, when I saw the anticipation and excitement in her eyes, I finally understood. Carolina might never have loved me. She might never have imagined a future with me. In the end, I saw off our friends one by one and began cleaning up the carefully arranged proposal scene. I picked up the ring box from the floor. Inside was the ring I had personally designed with care. But Carolina would never understand the thought behind it, because she didn't love me. Just like that day, aside from a brief moment of surprise, she didn't even glance at it. There was a photo wall in the room, but there were very few pictures of the two of us together. I once thought she simply didn't like taking photos. After adding Mike on social media, I realized the truth. It wasn't that she didn't like taking photos. She just didn't like taking them with me. She was willing to take countless photos with Mike. She was willing to enter the kitchen she hated for him. She would travel far just to buy his favorite buns because he casually mentioned wanting them. She stayed by his bedside all night when he was sick. She comforted him when he felt down. And me, her so-called boyfriend, had nothing. I could only lick my wounds alone. I tried to fight against it. All I received in return were her cold stares and impatient tone. After tidying the room, I noticed my face was wet. When I wiped it, I realized I had already been crying. Just then, my phone beeped. It was a social media update from Mike. Because of Carolina, I had always paid attention to his posts. There was no photo, just a caption. Felt wrong today, but thankfully I have my little cat to comfort me. My heart tightened painfully. My breath caught. No one understood better than I did who that little cat was. I closed my eyes and could almost picture Carolina curled up in his arms at that moment. When I got home, I looked around at everything familiar and felt a sharp ache in my chest. This home had been arranged entirely by me. Looking back, Carolina probably never thought about building a future with me. I walked back to my room like a zombie and lay on the bed. My gaze unintentionally fell on the camera in the corner. I once dreamed of becoming a photographer, traveling, capturing the landscapes I longed to see. In school, everyone said I had a free-spirited vibe. I had imagined living without a fixed abode but with a full heart. But for Carolina, I put down my camera and chose to settle. At that time, I believed she was the most beautiful scenery I would ever see. I got up and gently wiped the dust off the camera. Words I once said flashed through my mind. I hurried to turn on my computer and found the scientific expedition team I had been following. Sure enough, they were still recruiting a photographer. I hesitated for a long time before finally submitting my application. Even after I fell into a deep sleep, Carolina still hadn't come home. The next morning, when I stepped out of the bathroom, I heard the lock turn. Unlike before, I didn't go to greet her. I sat in the living room and turned on my computer. As soon as I woke up, I had received news that I passed the initial screening. They needed samples of my previous work. So I began selecting photos. I was so focused that I didn't notice Carolina staring at me. It wasn't until she walked up to me that I looked up briefly, then continued what I was doing. Her face instantly turned cold. "Alex." Without stopping, I asked impatiently, "What's wrong?" She had never been spoken to like that before. "Alex, what are you doing? Are you still mad about yesterday?" "You." "I'm not mad. I'm working. Yesterday, you were the one who spoke rudely first. It's already good that Mike didn't ask for an apology. You shouldn't." I frowned and looked at her. I said I'm not mad. Her words got stuck in her throat. When I saw the "sent successfully" notification, I stood up. "Since you're not mad, I'll forgive you. From now on you." I didn't listen to the rest. I walked past her. As I reached the door, she called out, "Alex, what are you doing? What do you want?" I looked at her in confusion. "I'm just getting my camera." I didn't wait for her reply. When I came out with the camera, she was gone. In the following days, I stayed busy outside taking photos. I thought she wouldn't look for me after what happened. I was wrong. When I returned home one day, I heard multiple voices inside. I opened the door and saw Mike sitting on the sofa. Carolina was busy in the kitchen. She brought cut fruit to him and then said to me, "Mike will be staying here for a while. Also, please tidy up a room for him." My fingers tightened around my keys. My heart felt cold. But I smiled lightly. "Sure. I'll tidy it up." She looked surprised. "If you can do it now, that would be best." I didn't look at them again and went to my room. Soon the doorbell rang. Carolina excitedly received the delivery. She brought the food to Mike, then frowned when she saw there were only 2 dishes and 1 bowl of rice. Why is there so little food? And it's potatoes, which Mike doesn't like. I sneered, walked over, and picked up the food. Because this is my meal, not yours. They both froze. I ignored them and started eating. What did it matter if Mike didn't like potatoes? I liked potatoes. That was enough. Alex, are you still mad at me? I'll apologize to you, right? Why should you apologize, Mike? You did nothing wrong, Carolina interrupted. I kept eating while browsing expedition team information. Alex, are you giving me an attitude? Carolina snapped. I shook my head calmly. No. I'm just handling some things. What things? You. I don't have work. I curled my lips slightly and looked at her impatiently. I carried my food to the dining room. Her face turned pale, then flushed red. Soon after, I received confirmation that I passed the final review. They asked me to undergo a medical examination. At the hospital, I unexpectedly ran into Carolina and Mike. They were heading toward obstetrics. I followed them and saw them pick up reports from the self-service machine. Mike gently touched Carolina's belly and held her close. They didn't notice a report falling. I bent down and picked it up. It was a pregnancy test and a paternity test. The mother's name, Carolina. The father's name, Mike. At that moment, it felt like all the blood in my body froze. I walked out of the hospital like a zombie. They already had a child. So what was I? Mike, at the peak of his career, would never publicly acknowledge her. Did she want me to be the fallback? To raise his child? All my unwillingness and grievances overwhelmed me. Just then, the expedition team leader called to confirm if I was certain about joining. My answer was clear. I'm sure. After hanging up, I looked back at the hospital. Carolina must be eagerly awaiting the child's arrival, because it was Mike's child. I gave a bitter smile. Fine. These past few years, I was just blind. I went home, packed quickly, and booked a flight to another city. My disgust for Carolina reached its peak. I even sold the house before leaving. How could I let Mike live comfortably in the house I bought? Back then, I had gritted my teeth to buy that house so Carolina could live better. I didn't know how many drinks I endured or how many sleepless nights I survived to afford it. I believed I was happy because I thought I was fighting for our beautiful future. Later, I realized I was wrong. Carolina never cared. Even if life were hard, as long as it was with Mike, she would accept it willingly. Thinking of this, I shook my head, forcing myself to stop thinking about her. I turned off my phone and boarded the plane. As soon as I landed and switched it back on, I saw a flood of messages from Carolina. You sold the house. Are you crazy, Alex? Where are you? Answer the phone. You're not answering my calls. What do you want? Alex, you will regret this. I raised my eyebrows, a little surprised at how efficient the real estate agency had been. But thinking about it, it made sense. The house had a great location and good lighting, and I priced it reasonably. It wasn't strange that it sold so quickly. I didn't reply to Carolina. Instead, I decisively deleted her contact. Her messages reminded me that I hadn't removed her before. So I deleted every single piece of contact information related to her. I also unfollowed Mike on Weibo. Looking back, I realized how ridiculous I had been, constantly monitoring Mike's updates. For Carolina, I had turned myself into a jealous clown. I lifted my head and looked at the endless blue sky, taking a deep breath. It was fine. My new life was about to begin. After that, I didn't receive any more messages from Carolina. I guess she didn't care enough to contact me again. Maybe she was even secretly happy. After all, with me gone, Mike could finally take my place. A month passed. During that time, I traveled to several cities with the expedition team. This was the life I had once dreamed of. Only after living it did I realize how much I had missed it. But it wasn't too late. One morning, we finished a task at dawn. The team leader told us we would have a few days off. I remembered that my place was in a neighboring city, so I booked a flight home. The moment I reached my doorstep, I froze. After steadying my emotions, I tried to pretend I hadn't seen the person standing there. But before I could walk past, Carolina stepped in front of me. Seeing her block my path, an inexplicable impatience rose inside me. I pulled out an expensive cigarette, lit it, and took a drag. The nicotine helped suppress the urge to turn around and leave. "Why haven't you replied to my messages all this time?" she asked, breaking the silence. I looked at her carefully for the first time. She had lost weight. Her face looked tired and worn. I rarely saw her this haggard. Most of the time, she carried herself like a spoiled princess, always looking at me with faint disdain. But now, her eyes were red. She was clearly holding back tears while staring at me. I looked away. Through the smoke, I tugged at the corner of my lips. "We broke up, Carolina." Her face turned pale instantly. "You never told me." I sneered. "Can I say it now? I don't agree. I don't agree to break up." I frowned. "Carolina, what's the point? You don't love me. Isn't this what you wanted?" She froze, panic flashing across her face. "Are you talking about Mike? I told you there's nothing between us. Why don't you believe me?" I watched her coldly. Even now, she was still pretending. I really had to admire her acting skills. "You should go be an actress," I said flatly. When she opened her mouth to explain again, I suddenly lost all interest in continuing. "Do you have anything else to say, Miss Carolina? If not, I'm leaving." I stepped past her, but she grabbed my sleeve. "Am I bothering you? Do you not have time tonight? Then maybe next time." I cut her off. "I am busy tonight. After all, someone is waiting for me at home." I glanced at her with obvious dissatisfaction. She had never been treated this way by me before. She understood the meaning behind my words and turned even paler. "And there won't be a next time. I don't like my life being disturbed by people I dislike. If you won't leave, fine. Then I will." I pulled my hand free and walked away. A strange emotion rose in my chest. It felt like finally getting something you had wanted for a long time, only to realize you no longer needed it. That night, I didn't go home. It seemed Carolina had no intention of leaving, as if she had decided to wait at my door. So I drank at a bar and slept at a nearby hotel. I thought that after what I said, she would leave once she saw me walk away. I was wrong. When I returned, she was still there, squatting by my door with her eyes closed, seemingly resting. She was even wearing high heels. I ignored her and unlocked the door. "You're back." The sound of the key woke her up. She stood unsteadily. I walked straight inside and poured myself a glass of water. The alcohol from the night before made my stomach uncomfortable. From the doorway, she said, "Did you drink last night? You smell strongly of alcohol. You have a stomach condition. You shouldn't drink too much." "So you know I have a stomach condition," I cut in sarcastically. She fell silent, looking at me with those same eyes, as if I were the one who had done something wrong. I closed my eyes, feeling exhausted. "Carolina, why are you here? We're done. You can go live your happy life with Mike." I tried to close the door, but she held it open. I looked down at her, my gaze filled with impatience and indifference. She seemed hurt by it and looked away. "Alex, can we talk?" I laughed softly. "Why should I talk just because you want to? Do you think I'm a dog, coming and going whenever you call?" I stepped back, smiling without warmth. "What? Mike doesn't want to go public with you, so now you're coming back to me, the simp." Her face turned deathly pale. "Want to talk? Fine. Bring back the engagement ring I prepared for you, and we'll talk." She went blank. Of course, she must have forgotten about the ring. Without waiting for her answer, I closed the door. After a while, I heard her muffled voice outside. "Wait for me, Alex." Listening to the sound of her high heels fading away, I finally collapsed onto the floor. I thought she wouldn't return for a long time. After all, how could she find that ring? I had thrown it away casually. But reality surprised me again. When I saw the ring in my hand, I couldn't understand how she had found it. At first, I thought it was a replica. But the letters I had personally engraved inside the band were there. The material and texture were exactly the same. She had found the original. I sighed. I had said it myself. I couldn't go back on my word. It's rare that you could find this ring. My calm reaction seemed to surprise her. There really was nothing between Mike and me, she rushed to explain. We've been over for a long time. I let out a cold laugh. Are you sure? Alex, listen to me. Seeing her flustered expression, my mind flashed back to the hospital. Alex, can you give me another chance? I can explain everything. You can explain, I said flatly. Lie to me. But what about the child in your belly? As a man, it was impossible not to care about being cheated on. Mike would always be a thorn in my heart. Especially now, with Carolina carrying his child. Her eyes widened. You? How do you know? I saw it with my own eyes. She reached for my hand, but anger surged within me. Don't touch me. She stumbled back. Carolina, what right do you have to ask for my forgiveness? You're carrying another man's child. Why should I forgive you? Looking at her pained expression, I felt a flicker of satisfaction. But it was mixed with something else. I turned away, afraid I might soften. Enough. Go back. Don't come looking for me anymore. I have things to do. I walked toward the kitchen to prepare lunch. Alex, she cried, didn't you say that if I found the ring, you'd consider talking to me? We haven't even. Haven't we talked enough? Besides, now you're the one begging. I get to decide how this goes, don't I? I looked at her coldly. This is what it's like to be a simp. Oh right, I was the one simping for you. I smirked. Go back. You're just not used to being without someone taking care of you. Or maybe you just need someone to clean up your mess. It's not like that. I grabbed her hand, dragged her to the door, and shut it before she could react. Soon I heard her sobbing outside. If you keep crying at my door, I'll call the police for disturbance. She cried for a while, then finally left. But I had underestimated her determination. I saw her again outside my door. I tried to ignore her and headed toward the elevator. Alex, I was wrong. I really was. Please forgive me. I'm begging you. My steps faltered for a moment. The child was an accident. I didn't mean for it to happen. If you don't like it, I can abort. No. And what if you abort it and then blame me? I won't. I didn't want to hear more. I watched the elevator doors close. I didn't expect her to follow me downstairs. Because she was wearing high heels, she stumbled and fell in the lobby. Through the glass doors, I saw her collapsed on the ground, covering her face and crying, apologizing over and over. I bit my lip and walked toward her. Carolina, I am not your dog. You can't throw me away when you don't want me and call me back when you do. I tried to leave, but she grabbed the hem of my shirt. I used to think that if she ever wanted to break up, I would beg her to stay. Reality was completely different. Alex, don't go. I can't live without you. I really like you. I felt no joy hearing that. If she had said those words earlier, maybe things would have been different. I pulled her hand away. We're done. That's it. I walked away quickly. Only when I could no longer hear her crying did I let my emotions surface. Of course I was sad. I had loved her for years. But how could I trust her? There was always Mike between us. No, maybe there was more than just Mike. From the beginning, we were never equal. It was wrong from the start. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of her crying on the ground kept replaying in my mind. The next morning, I called security to ask if anyone had been lying near the elevator. When they said no, I finally felt relieved. More than 10 days passed without her coming to see me. I didn't know if I felt relief or regret. Then one day, I saw her by the roadside. She looked even weaker. I wanted to ignore her, but she walked straight toward me. There was no avoiding it. Alex, she said faintly, I've aborted the child. Can you give me another chance now? I froze. Before I could react, she collapsed. I carried her to the hospital. After paying the fees, I looked at her lying weakly on the bed and felt exhausted. But I was clear about one thing. I couldn't soften. Over the past days, I realized my life could go on without her. In fact, without her, I could live better. Happier. I enjoyed my current life. I didn't want to return to the past. I no longer loved her the way I used to. I think I had finally let her go. I placed the prescribed medicine on the bedside table and turned to leave. Suddenly, something grabbed my hand. She had woken up and was holding on to me tightly. I sighed. Carolina, we can't go back to how things were. Why are you doing this? Why can't we go back? Do you really think it's just because of the child? I couldn't stop myself from raising my voice at Carolina. But when I saw the hurt on her face, I forced myself to calm down. You know we can't go back to how things were. Tears slid down her cheeks. She pressed her lips together and said nothing, still clutching my shirt tightly. I opened my mouth, wanting to say more, but in the end all I could do was sigh. Alex, are you worried about Mike? I've already resigned. There's nothing between us anymore. I've truly always loved you. Hearing her say she loved me didn't stir anything inside me. At first, I just couldn't tell the difference between my feelings. Later, I realized I didn't love him. It was just some leftover resentment from when we were young. The child, that was just an accident after a drunken night. I cut her off before she could continue. Carolina, I can't get past it. Every day I'm with you, I'll picture you and him kissing. And besides, I don't love you anymore. Please, don't come back to disturb my life, okay? She swayed slightly at my words. I knew I had hurt her, but I had to be cruel. I couldn't leave her even a sliver of hope. Only this way would it truly be better for both of us. After that, she didn't speak again. The room fell into silence. She lowered her head, lost in thought. I didn't rush her. I simply stood there, waiting quietly for her to understand. After a while, her muffled voice broke the silence. Alex, is there really no chance at all? My eyes drifted to the busy street outside. The noise beyond the window clashed sharply with the stillness in the room. Memories from the past few years flashed through my mind. I gave a small smile. Yes. The night I proposed, that was when my love for you started to fade. The hands gripping mine tightened suddenly. Then I felt something warm and wet fall onto my skin. She was crying again. In the past, she rarely showed much emotion for me. But now, almost every time she saw me, she cried. Gradually, her grip loosened. I knew she had finally let go. The medicine is on the table. Remember to take it. With that, I turned and walked out. As the door closed behind me, I heard her tearful, "I'm sorry," one last time. The hallway was flooded with sunlight, wrapping around me. I looked at the closed door, and a complicated feeling rose in my chest. Behind that door were 3 years of my youth, the love I had poured out with everything I had. But life was bound to have regrets. There was no need to stay trapped in the past. Now, I needed to hold tightly to the future that belonged only to me. After that, Carolina never came to find me again. The expedition team gradually shifted its focus overseas. I spent less and less time in the country. The next time I saw Carolina was at my wedding. I was standing at the entrance greeting guests when someone handed me a pair of wristwatches. There was a note attached, written in handwriting I recognized instantly. It was hers. In 10 miles of spring breeze, I congratulate you on this joyful day. May you have peace, happiness, and a life where all your wishes come true. I looked up just in time to catch a glimpse of a white figure disappearing into the distance. It looked as though she was leaving in a hurry. I smiled and placed the note back where it belonged. Maybe this was the best ending for both of us.